There was a fight to essentially close another electric 49ers practice. Saw a little bit of everything. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall wearing out all parts of the field. Mac Jones going 14 of 15, including one of the wildest touchdown passes you will ever see. I'll talk about that in a bit. Why don't we take a look at the highlights? And if you want to know more about the fight, Connor Colby was one of the two involved, and then there was many, many more involved. It seemed that there was a bit of a dog pile. You can call it a melee, you could call it a scuffle, you can call it whatever you want. Didn't last all too long. Just simply a sign that the 49ers need to play somebody else. And they've got practice against the Broncos on Thursday, so it will be good for them to take out their aggression on a different opponent. Jordan James, rookie running back at practice. Look at him, built like Devontae Freeman, and Corey Kiner has a very, very similar type of body. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, Christian McCaffrey, the Denver native, looked good today for the 49ers. Wait till I tell you about his deep pattern and Upton Stout. Jordan Watkins, rookie receiver, caught a couple passes. Looks like he's lining up to make a contribution this year. There's Sebastian Valdez, who's been intriguing us a lot. Look how he's built. He's powerful. Got that good, strong base. Sebastian Valdez has been knocking on the door, I think, of some more serious opportunity at the defensive tackle position. This is the 49ers first round pick, Mykel Williams, working with the 49ers assistant defensive line coach, Greg Scruggs, and they're working on hand combat, hand placement, aiming points, all stuff that the 49ers believe that Mykel Williams is already better at than a lot of people expected. He played at a bunch of different positions at the University of Georgia. He's going to focus on really two for the 49ers. He's going to be on the outside, edge setting, and then he's going to be on the inside, pass rushing for San Francisco. And Greg Scruggs played in the NFL himself, was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, is going to be one of the men working with Mykel Williams. The crew of 49ers coaches obviously also includes Chris Kasarik. All right, let's get to practice. Let's talk about that wild play. Mac Jones throws downfield. Jacob Robinson, who's the 49ers rookie cornerback out of BYU. I'm calling his name almost every practice at this point. Wearing the number 49, which typically it goes to undrafted free agents during training camp. He'll get to change numbers if he makes the team. But Jacob Robinson knocks the ball away, at least knocks it into the air. So yet another pass breakup, seemingly, by Jacob Robinson. But the ball popped into the air, and the other Robinson, one of the other Robinsons, there's Curtis as well, but this was Demarcus Robinson, grabbed it out of the air and sprinted to the end zone for a touchdown. Safe to say, that was the craziest play of 49ers training camp. Mac Jones, that was part of his perfect streak. It kept him perfect. He was 14 of 14 until the very last attempt in the red zone today. That fell incomplete. So Mac, a nice day, 14 of 15 for the 49ers. On the other side, Brock Purdy's had his best camp. I mean, he impressed a lot of people in 2022 to rise up the pecking order and earn that roster spot. I get it, but I can guarantee you that Brock Purdy wasn't playing as well as he is right now. Good pass after good pass for Brock Purdy. I think there was a lot of mayhem, and we couldn't see past some of the defensive linemen. Richie Grant might have had an interception early on Brock Purdy's worst throw, which was a little bit behind. I know he threw it behind. I'm not sure if Richie Grant, the veteran safety who joined the 49ers alongside Jason Pinnock, picked it off, but he did have a chance to pick it off early in practice. But after that, and before that, Purdy dime after dime after dime. The connection between Brock and Ricky Pearsall is real. I'll predict it now. I think Ricky, if he can stay healthy, everybody needs to stay healthy. That's a key in football. But if Ricky can stay healthy, I think he's going over 1,000 receiving yards in this 2025 season. Anyway, Brock threw another really good pass to Christian McCaffrey, who was sprinting downfield on a little bit of a wheel route, and he was open. And the pass was really good. And this is where we run into a plot twist. This is where Upton Stout, the video on him this morning, so be sure to check that one out. Upton Stout decided to put on a Superman cape, which he's been doing with some frequency at 49ers practice, with greater and greater frequency as training camp moves on. Upton Stout really came out of nowhere, sprinted, leapt up, obviously played larger than his 5'8" frame. I talk about that so much with Upton. And he barely grazed the piece of the football to knock it away from Christian McCaffrey. So I think that's a coach's dream. Kyle Shanahan loves to see a play like that. The play worked. Christian McCaffrey got open because he's got the burst. Brock Purdy threw a really good ball to Christian McCaffrey, and then Upton Stout just made a Superman play to knock that away. It kind of reminded me of when the Packers came in here, week 3 of the 2021 season, and Jimmy Garoppolo threw a really nice deep ball to, I believe it was George Kittle over the middle of the field. And Jair Alexander, who was an all-pro cornerback at the time, abandoned his post, came over from the perimeter and, covered a good 30 yards and intercepted the ball. And it was one of those where you just kind of tip your cap. So I think the 49ers offense had to tip its cap to Upton Stout, who is carving out a starting role for himself on that play. Speaking of new starters, we just talked to Robert Saleh, who said that the 49ers may have as many as 8 new starters on the defensive side of the ball. I knew there were going to be a lot of new guys starting on that side of the ball. I'd counted up to 7. 8, that's wild. By the way, some construction going on here at Levi's Stadium. I don't know if you could see back over there. So we may have some noise as this update continues, but I can give you guys another angle of the helmet here as we talk. And maybe I could stand right in front of the helmet so that the noise is muffled as much as possible. All right, let's go through some of this stuff. I've got Purdy to Pearsall written here at least 4 times. It happened very, very frequently today. Jordan James, back at practice. We saw him in the highlight reel a little bit earlier. Looks like he's fully participating, ready to go after dealing with a little bit of a knee issue. So it's good for the 49ers to start building up some running back depth. To bolster the receiving room, they brought back Equanimous St. Brown. They released Andy Isabella, who hurt his ankle yesterday. So one vet receiver out, another vet receiver in. Anybody freaking out about back of the roster moves, just doesn't know what they're talking about when it comes to covering a training camp? Here's a simple way of illustrating it. You're going to need over 100 players to get through an NFL training camp. That's just the way it is for any team. 49ers, Titans, Miami Dolphins, LA Rams, whoever, you're going to need over 100 players. You can only have 90 on the roster at any given time. That's the max. The guys are going to be getting hurt. There are no injury lists that are exempt from the roster count at this time of the year. That doesn't happen until the cut down. So there's going to be situations where you release a guy, then you have to sign him back. You release a guy, you sign him back. That happened with Equanimous St. Brown. So once you're in a building for a training camp, even if you get cut, you're on call for that team. And it's known, this is like very standard practice around the NFL, that you're going to go through more players than you have spots on a 90-man roster. By the way, the kicking competition for Jake Moody, I told you guys yesterday that this thing wasn't over. It isn't over. Jake Moody's still competing. His competition just isn't on the roster right now. They had Moody kick 6 times today in competition-style format. So the same thing they were doing back when Greg Joseph was still on this roster. Line up the field goal, whole team watches, kick the field goal, back up a few yards. Except this time Moody got 6 attempts instead of just 4 because they had a little extra time for him with Greg Joseph not kicking. Moody went 5 of 6 today. His only miss came from 55 yards, which was the final kick, the longest one, and it hit off the crossbar. Remember that Jake Moody has altered his technique. He's taken only 2 strides heading into the kick instead of 3. And he says that he's sacrificed a couple yards of power, but he's gained accuracy. And it was funny because I saw that hit the crossbar and I said, well, maybe Jake Moody should go back to 3 strides. But he's been accurate so far in this training camp. He entered today 21 of 24. So you add the 5 makes, that is 26 of 30 now for Jake Moody, which is damn close to 90%, which any team would be happy with from the field goal kicking position. But if Moody blinks, if he doesn't perform in these preseason games, the first one's coming on Saturday here at Levi's Stadium. Well, the 49ers, they'll have Greg Joseph or another kicker if Joseph is no longer available on speed dial. So that was that. 49ers also ran some kick return drills today. The guys who were back there as part of the group, and this is not necessarily strict list of finalists for kick return, but guys who I think the 49ers believe might be capable, or at least want to run through some of these drills during practice. Dallas Flowers, Amir Abdullah, Patrick Taylor Jr., Jordan Watkins, the Junior Bergen, obviously, for the 49ers, and Robbie Chosen was also back there alongside Corey Kiner. So was Jordan James. So those are some of the candidates to return kicks. You know, with the preseason games coming, it's exciting because maybe we'll finally get some real intel on the kick returning front, on the punt returning front, because those are the things you can't practice in a way that tells you much during a non-tackling event, right? You have to be in a preseason game to get a better look at some of that special team stuff. But they're definitely doing a lot of field goal kicking out there, even though Jake Moody's competition not currently on the roster. Diomara Lenoir was back at practice as a full participant today. He had a really nice pass breakup to announce his return against George Kittle. So welcome back for Diomara Lenoir. Your present is, well, you have to cover one of the most prolific players in football, and George Kittle is definitely playing like it. He caught a couple passes today, got way open in the red zone on a crosser there toward the end of practice, and he continues impressing for San Francisco. I told you about the insane touchdown pass. That's going to be the crazy, that's going to go down as the pinnacle of this training camp. I mean, it brings back some memories of Ayuk and the NFC Championship game where it was Kindle Vilder, right, of the Detroit Lions. The ball bounced off his face mask, and then Ayuk was able to make the catch. He didn't score. He was ruled down by contact. This was actually a touchdown, and it was actually, funny enough, it was a perfect pass from, this one was not a perfect. This was from Mac Jones. This one was bounced up into the air. It was a PBU for Jacob Robinson until it wasn't. The perfect pass that was broken up was from Purdy later on to Christian McCaffrey on the wheel route. He was on the go pattern of the wheel route, and that's where Upton Stout decided to play Superman and get in the way. Kalia Davis, he had a sack today. And the reason that I want to bring up and talk about Kalia is because this is a massive, massive opportunity. Kevin Givens is out for a long time. He's going to be out for at least a couple months, it sounds like, with the pectoral injury, which leaves the 49ers really thin on defensive tackles with any sort of significant experience. Evan Anderson is currently out right now, but that's more of a day-to-day thing with the groin. Kalia Davis, we were saying this is the chance this year. With the inexperience that the 49ers have, the bridge they're probably going to need to build to some of these rookies, somebody like Kalia has to step up and seize his opportunity. And there was a really quick move. He went against the right side of the 49ers offensive line. With that quickness, I thought that, you know, I always harken back to the fact that he was a stack linebacker in college, that they thought they can develop into a good pass rusher because he can move so well right off the snap. I think that quickness is something the 49ers would like to see carry over into these preseason games. It was a nice day for a couple of the 49ers' older cornerbacks, two of the guys that they're employing right now to just fill out the roster for training camp. Fabian Moreau had a pass breakup during team drills, and then Eli Apple, during one-on-ones, actually gave the 49ers some really, really nice reps. And then, yeah, he lets everybody know that it was a nice rep as well. Eli Apple, he's a vet. He knows how to celebrate. He could cross his arms. He could raise his arm up into the sky. He was fired up after his wins. And remember, this is a cornerback, 32 years old now, so is Fabian Moreau, who's been around the league for a while. The 49ers have been a little thin at the position, but Diomara Lenoir is back. Renardo Green should be back next week. So somebody's probably going to get cut. You've got to audition to keep your spot on this team. And Eli Apple, once he beat Tariq Owens, and he celebrated that pass breakup. The second time he beat Robbie Chosen, formerly known as Robbie Anderson, 32-year-old receiver who's also in here to help the 49ers out with their numbers. So nice play by Apple, but we know that the headline of the show for the 49ers during those one-on-ones is whenever somebody like Ricky Pearsall goes out there. He beat Darrell Luter Jr. on the first rep of the day. I will say that Russell Gage is quickly becoming a favorite of mine to watch. He's so technically sound. And I've talked him up a little bit. Russell Gage had over 750 receiving yards in 2 straight seasons back when he was with the Falcons. Then he suffered the severe knee injury, hadn't played in a couple years, but you can tell this is a crafty vet who I will predict right now Russell Gage is going to make this 53-man roster. He's not catching quite as many passes as he did over the first, week of camp when he was leading the 49ers receivers in receptions, but he's still producing for San Francisco. I think he's trusted as part of that first cadre of offensive weapons right now, especially while guys are out. And to do what he did in Atlanta, he had to have some guile. Because succeeding in the NFL, if you're not like Isaiah Nair measurables, 6'4", 220, succeeding in the NFL definitely takes some smarts. And I think that Russell Gage, whenever I get to watch him in one-on-ones, he definitely displays some of the nuances that you really, really like to see out of a successful receiver. He beat Upton Stout today in one-on-ones. Funny, we hear Upton Stout losing a battle. Occasionally it happens, but he's been awesome for the 49ers. And Russell Gage beat Trey Brown as well. Some of the nicest coverage of the day, I thought, came from Darrell Luter Jr. against Demarcus Robinson in those one-on-ones. That was a nice rep from Darrell Luter Jr., who's really in competition to be the 49ers' third cornerback. They have those first two spots set with Lenore and Renardo Green. Upton Stout, I think it's odds on he'll be that nickel back, but who is going to be that third cornerback? First guy to come off the bench and play on the outside if the 49ers need it. And I'm sure inside versatility will be very appreciated from that role as well, but who's going to be the third outside cornerback? And Darrell Luter Jr. would be one of the homegrown players who's been here for a couple years now, who does have that opportunity, and we did see that nice rep today in one-on-ones. Back to Robert Saleh today. He was talking about Mykel Williams. He also said that Mykel has good feet. His footwork is good for rushing against guards on the inside. So I showed you the video earlier of Mykel working with the assistant coach for the D lineman, Greg Scruggs, on some of his hand placement. 49ers obviously really enamored with this guy for many reasons, but apparently the footwork is something that excites the 49ers regarding Mykel Williams. There is one more play that I have to talk about that I forgot to talk about. I omitted it early on. It was more Purdy to Pearsall, but I didn't describe it because I forgot. There's so much that happened at practice today. Purdy off schedule, he got flushed out to the left. And I think Bryce Huff was in with some of the pressure, but that's obviously the unnatural side for Brock Purdy, right? To throw, he's gonna have to flip his hips. And he did, but he didn't even have a chance to fully flip his hips back around, and he flicked the ball good 20 yards downfield. A little bit against the grain for sure, since he was running to the left, and he found Ricky Pearsall. And it wowed people out on that practice field. So I know that Brock does that really well, but anytime he puts on one of those off-schedule plays and then finds the receiver, it feels a little like magic out on that field. And we did see one of those today. Mac Jones, one of his 14 completions on the 14 of 15 day, was a deep out to Jordan Watkins. There was a drop today, and it was from Luke Farrell, who is the 49ers run blocking tight end. He's going to be tight end 2 for San Francisco, but he probably not much of a receiving threat. We haven't seen them target Luke Farrell all too often. Today they did, and he wasn't able to hold on to the catch, which was on the near side of the field on an out route. That came from Carter Bradley, the 49ers' third string quarterback, now that Tanner Mordecai is no longer in the building. Couple red zone touchdowns. I mentioned Purdy to Kittle, Mac Jones to Jordan Watkins in the red zone, and then this was kind of a crown jewel play. This is really big for the 49ers. D. Winters. There was a wheel route, another deep route to McCaffrey, not the one that he was open on where Upton Stout came out of nowhere. Later on, the linebacker D. Winters was able to track McCaffrey all the way downfield, force an incompletion. And then Robert Saleh after practice said, yeah, we have confidence that D can cover anyone that he's assigned to cover from that linebacker spot. They believe in D. Winters and his coverage ability, which is huge. Again, we'll say it here. D. Winters has locked up that linebacker 2 job, and if you can stay with Christian McCaffrey the way he did on that play, that is good stuff. A lot happened. Yes, there was the fight, but again, the fight is one the major one, and it's just a sign. It's just a sign that the 49ers are ready to practice against somebody else. Next time that I stand in front of this helmet, We'll be recapping 49ers Broncos, the joint practice here in Santa Clara on Thursday. 5 ex-49ers, Greenlaw, Hufanga, DJ Jones. It's going to be a lot of fun. So buckle up. Joint practice coming. Hit that alarm bell notification. We'll see you soon.